The regulatory landscape is ever-changing, which can make it difficult for financial services firms to assess opportunities and risk. The team at Navigant apply expertise, experience and insight to help firms develop global compliance strategies. Sharon Thomas went to find out why compliance is vital to good business practice in an uncertain world.
Since the financial crisis of a decade ago, the banks have been struggling, not just because of the fallout from that, but dealing with a huge escalation in financial crimes, particularly sanctions, money laundering, bribery and corruption, terrorist financing, and more recently, tax evasion. There's been a huge growth in financial crime compliance and enforcement in the 10 years since then, something that's fundamental to running a financial services organisation. Navigant is a global consulting firm with 5,500 employees in more than 40 countries, advising thousands of clients on a broad range of issues relating particularly to financial crime. The company helps clients to build and manage these issues by designing and implementing robust procedures that respond to regulatory expectations and help them work more efficiently. They also deal with situations that have gone wrong, assisting firms to investigate and remediate what has happened. How crucial is compliance?
Conduct is the key, right? So it's really very simple. If you can think about things in terms of what you believe is the right thing to do and what you think your clients or counterparties would expect of you, then you actually are majority of the way there. There will be rules and regulations that are sometimes difficult to maneuver and to navigate. But in general, if you always have that same concept of what is right and wrong behavior, then you will eliminate the majority of the issues you have to deal with.
The environment for financial services firms is constantly shifting. International financial crime is no longer a phenomenon, but a regular state, and not having the correct measures in place can cost a financial company millions.
So I think what we're seeing is an increase in complexity, both of firms' businesses and of regulation as a whole. And the downside risks of getting it wrong have become far, far greater than they were in years previous. So we see that with the significant fines that were levied on UK banks by the US regulators for breaches of regulatory requirements. And of course, there's now an increasing focus on senior management accountability. So it's vital for firms and the individuals that work in them that they get this right.
It's imperative that firms consider all international regulators' requirements in a financial crime context. The risk for companies of not being compliant is enormous, and businesses need to be able to adapt to changes in the geopolitical landscape globally.
Government agencies have continued to focus on economic sanctions as a means to implement their foreign policies. Additionally, regulatory agencies have also increased their focus on compliance with these policies. Financial institutions have an increased obligation and duty to comply. There's also an increased regulatory risk based on the size of some of these fines that have been issued. At Navigant, we've put together a program to help institutions navigate through these complex and difficult situations and issues.
The culture of compliance has to come from the top. The world's major economies are now seeing most of their large financial services firms putting frameworks in place so senior management from top down understand what is happening in the business and control the way it works. Businesses are well aware that it's not necessarily just them who could face a fine, but individuals too.
The importance of an internal audit department is that they are the third line of defense and need to be able to identify the risk and potential failures that a compliance program might have. When a regulator comes in and identifies an issue, the first thing they're going to ask is, why didn't an internal audit identify this? And in order to be able to identify that, internal audit needs to make sure that they have the right qualities and capacity in order to perform internal audits and identify these risks an institution faces.
Headquartered in Chicago, Navigant works with many types of financial services firms, including banks, insurance and asset management firms. With interest low and profits squeezed, it's currently a challenging environment for the latter, but Navigant can help firms remain competitive by helping to ensure they are compliant in all jurisdictions.